This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by Nisse Sauerland over Zoom. Nisse, first and foremost, how are you keeping?
Doing very well, thank you, Andy. Hope all's good with you, wherever you are.
Well, I'm in my bedroom filming, so unfortunately not as
Very nice.
a nice scene
Very
as
nice.
what you have behind you. But obviously, let's do the interview because I know you've got to shoot off very soon. Let's start off with the news that came out in the UK today. The government cancelled any testing events for sports. What are your thoughts on it?
Look, I'm not a doctor, but my thoughts are I'm just sick of it all now. I understand certain people need to be shielded. I understand that there are certain age groups, people with health risks, people perhaps overweight or underlying health conditions. But if I read the stats correctly, COVID is not in the top 10 of the worst killers at the moment, the daily killers. So, you have to think about people who, they might have something wrong with them. They're not getting checked. I'm not a doctor, like I said, but, we're going to see a backlash of wait lists for different operations and whatever else. And then obviously for industries such as boxing, ticket sellers and those kind of shows from there to the very big shows are going to suffer. And all economies, pubs are, it just doesn't make any sense. Why are you going to close a pub at 10 o'clock? Everyone's just going to get there earlier, or you close a pub at 11 o'clock. It's still a stupid idea in my opinion, because everyone piles out on the street at the same time. It's just, nothing makes sense. I think the government have honestly done a terrible job with this. Why not allow 10% of people into the arena or into a stadium now, just to trial it? I don't know. I'm disappointed, but at the same time, I am hopeful that sense will, shine through.
How damaging do you feel it will be knowing that fans can't return for at least another month? And with that being said, it's not just, full venues being filled out. It would be a minor percentage. How damaging do you think the loss of revenue from that will be, but in our case, in boxing?
I think, of course, you look at the higher numbers. It's like the pay-per-view shows. Yeah, of course you're going to sell out the O2, but at least you've got other revenue streams coming in, substantial ones, more substantial than ticket sales. But the main damage will be done on ticket sellers, guys. Events where they, small hall shows, where they rely on selling tickets, and it's the ecosystem of boxing. A kid, starting out, he might change his mind about becoming a professional boxer. He might just decide, well, you know what, I can't follow my dream anymore. I just can't afford it. I've just had a baby. I'm going to do something else with my time, that actually pays me a regular salary. And maybe, a few dreams are going to be shattered. I'll tell you that.
What do you think the long-lasting effects of this kind of past 5-6 months and certainly moving forwards will be on our sport, at least?
Long-lasting. I think it'll take a bit of time to catch up. I think we're in a bit of a freezing period. I think, you're getting chased the whole time by fighters to fight, but you're like, well, there is a global pandemic at the moment. And I mean, I've got a show in Denmark this weekend where we'll have, I think 300-400 people watching, which is kind of innovative. I don't know if is it the first event with spectators? I have no idea in boxing, but since lockdown. But I think it's going to have more, like I said, guys that we don't know about yet. Yeah, the future AJs, the future Furies, the future of the sport. A lot of them, maybe could have gone the whole way. They might be in a stick right now, a bad situation where they're like, well, I've just had a kid, or I've got bills mounting up. I need to take work. Yeah. So that will be a loss that we probably never know. But yeah, hopefully these guys will crack on, and fulfill their destinies. But at the same time, I think quite a few boxers will quit.
Final question on that side of things before we do come on to the show in Denmark and obviously World Boxing Super Series final in Germany. How has this past, say, 6 or 7 months changed your own business approach and the dynamic between yourself, the brother, and Team Sauerland?
Well, I mean, I have to be honest, being on the road, 25 to 30 shows a year, it can take its toll. So, for 12 years running, 13 years running, I've been doing it. So it's you're not only away for the weekend, you're away from the Wednesday to the Sunday. So I'm not gonna lie, I kind of enjoyed lockdown and just being at home with my family for a few months and not traveling. But now I'm just chomping at the bit to get back to it. And I've sort of had a sabbatical. I thought about what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, and I think we've regrouped and we're going to put on some brilliant shows, COVID permitting.
Let's obviously move on to the first of those shows you mentioned earlier, this coming weekend in Denmark. Nisse Sauerland defending her WBO world title. How excited are you to kind of see her get in the ring on the back of what we've seen with women's boxing and how well it's been received over the past month or so since its return? Is this a chance for Dina to really make her own stamp on the sport and to
Yeah.
AJ?
I mean, listen, Dina's probably one of the best female fighters out there. She's got a very exciting style. Very hard hitting and very explosive style. I mean, there's been rumours, and I think Eddie's mentioned it as well, about a fight against Rachel Ball. This would be a great fight. I know Rachel Ball well because she gave Sanders, who's the mandatory for Terry Harper, a very good fight. So yeah, women's boxing is heating up, and I'd love to see if Sauerland comes through this. But Sauerland against Rachel Ball. Rachel Ball deserves a chance. She's a very good fighter. And she's got a very good trainer in Errol, yeah, look, I find women's boxing very exciting at the moment. I mean, I watched that Katie Taylor against Pursoon fight. Oh my god, that 12th round was unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, very exciting times for female boxing.
You mentioned the Rachel Ball fight there. Is that kind of the next fight that you guys are considering or certainly looking at then?
Eddie mentioned it to me. I mentioned it to Sauerland. She's up for it. I presume Rachel's up for it. She's game. Normally with taking on a challenge, I think it'd be a great fight. And I think, like I said, women's boxing, especially in the UK, is really on the move.
Just as you just mentioned it there, Katarina Fandes also the mandatory for Terry Harper's title. We know that that's been called now by the WBC. When can we expect to see that?
I would say, expect to see anything at the moment, but I would say November time. We're negotiating with Eddie at the moment. Let's see. It's a good fight for anywhere. I thought for me Harper would have been the favourite going in until I saw the Jonas fight, and now I see it as a great 50-50 contest between two great sport women.
Coming back to Denmark and himself, Filip Pergovic, Animal returns as well. What are you expecting to see from Filip and his return to the ring?
I mean, you know what? Not much because we're just trying to get him busy. We need him to fight. We need him to get busy and at least have 2 fights before the end of the year. It's been a frustrating year for everyone, and we had sort of built up a head of steam and got stopped in our tracks. We were meant to fight in April. Obviously, it got cancelled, but now we're ready to take the heavyweight world by storm.
You mentioned you wanted to try and get him out a couple more times. Could one of those fights be against his fellow countryman Alan Babic?
I mean, I've commented on this a few times. I just, it doesn't make sense at the moment. I think Alan uses it as a spin, and who can blame him? Philip's a big name, it gets Alan, everyone thinks, oh man, this guy's crazy, he wants to fight Filip Hrgovic. I don't think there's any real intent there. And I think it's a lose-lose situation for Filip, because, actually, no, it's a win-lose situation. Look, he beats him, and he's beaten a guy with 3 fights, who's, barely a heavyweight. So what at the moment, look, like I said, by June next year, if he beats a couple of notable opponents, I think Tom Little will beat him if they fight. I think Dave Allen will beat him. Trying to think, there's a few other guys that I think, I would like to see him in one of these, with a proper heavyweight, a decent name, But let's see. Look, more power to him for wanting to fight Filip. But I mean, there's no point at the moment.
Another name which Eddie mentioned for Filip was Daniel Dubois. We know that they've previously sparred together. Eddie, when Frank reached out to Eddie, he said he wanted to make Dubois white, and then Eddie replied saying he'd like to see Dubois versus Hrgovic. We know they've sparred together, as I say. Would that be a fight that would be of interest to you, rather?
100%. I think. Listen, Dubois. They sparred together 2 years ago. I don't like to talk about sparring. I think that's an area where you practice and you try new things, and that's how a fighter gets better. Yeah, there's no point in going, oh, this guy doesn't matter. People. I'm not even going to speculate on that, but I think Dubois has improved immensely in the last 2 years. I think Joyce. I think the odds are like 4-1 for Joyce to beat Dubois. I see it as a 50-50 fight. And I see that as a decent punt at 4-1. I'm not saying he's going to win, but I think that's a very good bet if I was a betting man. So I listen, Dubois can happen, definitely, of course. But right now, I think they're both on their own journeys. You always have the same issues, broadcasters and whatever else, but if the fight becomes big enough, then of course we will fight Daniel Dubois.
Just a final word on your show in Denmark. You mentioned you're going to have fans there. Just talk to me about kind of operations behind that then, and how difficult or easy was it to be able to do so?
Oh God, ask me on Sunday, mate. Well, we're going through nightmares at the moment. We're noticing there's it's a mess, if I'm honest with you, because no one knows what's going on with flights, this, that. The government over here have, in my opinion, have failed. Of course, we don't know how another government would have coped, but if you see other countries, maybe dealing with it a lot better than we are. Germany, let's say, is they've been very efficient. That operative word when we speak about Germany, but they've been very efficient with containing the virus. Of course, they have flare-ups, etc. But on the whole, it's the country's still moving, and I hope. Look, I'm in London now. I'm sitting in White City, in Soho House in White City, and it's busy. It's buzzing, and I just hope this work from home thing. I think people need to get to work now. I understand if you live with someone who's got underlying health issues, if you live with someone who's your mum, your dad, who's over a certain age, then I totally understand it. But the economy won't survive another lockdown. That is. I'm rambling now, aren't I?
No,
I'm going on one of my political rants. Matt Hancock lives around the corner from me as well. I want to picket his house with a sign. No, it's we haven't. it's just very ambiguous and very unclear, the guidelines at the moment. So it's like, well, look, do I have to quarantine when I come back if I've taken a test? You know, if I've taken a test and I'm negative, do I have to stay in my house for 2 weeks? Why? You know, why do I have to do that? Yeah, I don't understand it. So the quicker we get those answers, the quicker we get more tests, the better it will be for everyone.
Moving
Nisse
forward,
for Prime Minister.
I'm sure you get a few people voting for you, Nisse. Just moving
Monster
forward,
raving loony party. Yeah.
moving forward onto Germany, World Boxing Super Series Cruiserweight Final. Briedis-Dorticos, what should we expect in that one?
I mean, you know, obviously my brother deals with the Super Series, but I mean, that's going to be a great fight. I mean, it's going to be pure and utter violence. I mean, it's look at them both. Look at their track records. They love a war. They both punch very hard. I don't see it getting to the end. I think round 9 or 10, someone's going to get stopped. That's my feeling. But I can't say any more. It's not, like I said, it's not my show. I'm not involved with that. I'm doing the Danish show for Team Sauerland, and but that's I look forward to watch it. Put it that way, as a fan.
I know obviously you're not involved with it, Nisse, but because we've seen how brilliant the events have been around the World Boxing Super Series, especially in the finals, how good is it that we won't experience the same type of thing with Briedis versus Dorticos this coming weekend?
Of course, it's annoying, but as humans, we adapt and we have to just get on with it, right? The sparkles and glitter will return again soon, and we'll all be happy. Let's just remember these hard times, and when we have the good times, appreciate them a bit more.
Just a few more before I let you jet off, Nisse. Sophie Eilish was also on that undercard. Excited to see her back in the ring?
Like I said, I think she's the best. I've said it many a times, but she's the best female prospect out there. I expect her to fight for a world title very soon, within the next 3 or 4 fights. She's gaining a massive social media following. She's getting a name for herself in Germany as well. A lot of sponsors. She's doing a lot of adverts, sponsorship, etc., etc. She's basically, people are noticing her. She's only 18 years old. She's taking it all in her stride. She's beating up guys in the gym. So I wouldn't want to be one of the sparring partners, put it that way.
So I'm about to ask you, the fact that she's only 18, she's so young, does it ever surprise you by just how mature she is and how driven she still is, despite the success she's starting to get?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's a competitor. She comes from the tennis world, and she competed, I think, a lot of her life. And some people just have that competitive edge, some don't, and some can back it up. I'm one of these competitive people that can't back it up, so it really frustrates me playing any sport. But she can, and I think she's just got a good head on her shoulders. She's got a very good head on her shoulders, and she is an all-round, very, very special talent.
Now, just a few fights away from yourself and Team Sauerland, what have you, just to get your thoughts on Whyte-Povetkin 2 was announced recently. Were you surprised at all, Nisse, to see that one announced immediately? Did you expect, or did you think maybe Dillian could have had an interim fight before going in with Povetkin, or was it the right move to get straight back in?
I think, look, I've said this a couple of times, and I still stand by it. I believe that a fighter should exercise their demons of getting knocked out and get in there, and just go through that process. But listen, Dillian has got mental strength. He was boxing brilliantly up until the punch from the gods. So I think he can get back in there and start. Keep going from where he left off in the 4th round. So, I mean, maybe he should have had more of a killer instinct in that 4th round. Maybe gone in for it more. I don't know, but I'm excited by it. Everyone's excited by it. Everyone wants to see it again, and that's why I like Dillian Whyte, because he doesn't turn down a fight.
Another fight which seems to be edging ever closer, Usyk-Chisora. How do you think that one will play out, Nisse? Obviously, Alexander's first fight against kind of what people deem to be a top-level heavyweight in Derry.
mean, listen, yeah, he's in with the big boys now. I think Usyk, everyone compares him to Lomachenko. Like, listen, Lomachenko doesn't get really caught that often. Usyk does. He tends to get into wars. Look at the Briedis fight, down to the 12th round, just won. I think I didn't really see the last fight against Chaz Witherspoon, but I understand his power didn't transcend maybe as much into the heavyweight. Derek is going to be on him. Yeah, he's going to be on him. He's going to stalk him. He's going to follow him around the ring, and he's going to bully him. It depends how well he can. He's going to have to box off the back foot a lot. I don't know. If I was Derek and his team, I'd be pushing for a small bloody ring. I'll tell you that. A phone box.
Final question, Nisse. We've seen Dana White teasing kind of an entrance into boxing once again over the last few days. If you was to see Dana certainly enter into boxing, what do you make of that, especially in the current climate and what we're going through?
Listen, he's you can see. I'm really appreciating the UFC more and more. I enjoy watching it now a lot more. I've started doing the jiu-jitsu stuff. I like the ground stuff now. I never understood it before, and I think that's one of the failings to the layperson when they're watching UFC. It's like, okay, they're laying on top of each other. What they're doing, But now I've started doing a bit more jiu-jitsu. I kind of understand, the holds, the arm bars, the rear naked chokes. It's a real art what they do. And the fact that he sort of marketed that and made it into, I can't remember how many billion he sold it for, but a couple of bill, 2, 3, 4 bill. The guy's a genius, He took it, I think he bought it for 2 million with debt, however long ago. And to turn the UFC into such a phenomenon, well done. If you can do the same in boxing, I don't know. I think there's a larger pool of fighters. There's a larger pool of snakes, and there's a lot more territory to fight for in boxing. And I mean, you can see that now in the MMA because you've got the Bellator coming in, and you got Cage Warriors obviously feeds up. You got Brave. You've got loads of different organizations, and I think that just comes from more fighters now doing MMA. So it's a growing sport. I think I don't know what he's going to be doing in boxing. I have no idea. I mean, probably not the best time to do it at the moment, but it's let's see. I'm excited to hear what he's got to do. I mean, the guy is a genius.
With your jiu-jitsu work, Nisse, can we expect to see you in a cage anytime soon?
Yeah, I did some white collars, right? So I did 5 or 6, I think 6 white collars. I do fancy, I'll definitely do some jiu-jitsu fights once I'm good enough. Once I get in a couple of years, 2, 3 years, you need to get good at it first. MMA, I don't know. I could, because I quite like the idea of it. Am I too old? 41? I don't know. It'd have to be another 41-year-old who's out of shape.
I mean, I remember watching an interview with Rob where you said that you and your brother used to hit lumps out of each other. You reckon you could both get into the ring and do something?
I don't know. I think, me and my brother could fight. Look, we're brothers at the end of the day. We love each other, but, we can have it, I don't know. If you got any siblings, you turn it on when you want to turn it on, then your friends afterwards. It's like any sport. It's like any sport. You're competitors, and at the end you shake hands. That's why boxing is the biggest gentleman sport in the world. You knock 7 shades of shit out of each other. At the end you hug. That's the beautiful thing. Cricketers, they spit on each other. Footballers, they spit on each other. All this. Boxing is a gentleman's sport. I tell everyone that. So.
Nisse, we'll leave
I'm ready. I'm ready. Wherever you are, Sauerland, and I'm coming for you, man.
Listen, as long as it's streamed on Boxing Social, Nisse, that's what matters.
Yeah, €10 a pop. Get your pay-per-view in. All right, mate.
We will leave it. Appreciate your time. Thanks, Beats Boxing Social.
Cheers, Andy. See you soon.